we're talking about Palantir. Palantir's not going away. Palantir was one of the biggest receivers of money through the big, beautiful bill. Well, how do we know this? Well, we did some of our own investigation on it. Fiorella Isabel, Truthwire, did some personal investigation on it and found the paper trail of exactly the military budget that's not just going for arms to be used and have been being used in other countries. Israel, IDF, using Palantir technology to target Gaza, to target Palestinians, using it to evoke war against Russia, against China. It's not just military funding, it's also security funding, which involves surveillance and pre-crime and all that technology of AI, which is used to target and keep people in a database and recognize you as somebody who's going to be committing a crime in the future. So we're going to target you in advance. So first, let's look at this, because this is all related to Epstein, why we're not getting the files and why we might be heading into a new era outside of what we've been coming out of, which is the Epstein and P. Diddy era of using sexual blackmail against world leaders, celebrities, and any politician to get them to do whatever you want them to do. That was the technique by the Mossad. And let's start with this. This is a former Israeli intelligence officer, Ari Ben Menashe. He's going to tell us of how Israel has trapped multiple U.S. presidents, multiple, not just Trump. So if you think Trump is unique and he's being blackmailed and, hijacked by the Epstein situation, with the fact that Epstein is a Mossad agent, he's not unique in that situation. The Mossad's been doing this to us for years. Here is a former Israeli agent is going to tell us this. Here we go.
And so Jeffrey Epstein, in a way, presumably being used as a tool by the Israelis, helped to change the course of history in this region I'm speaking to you from.
Of course, a change thing. And they trapped a number of U.S. presidents by using Jeffrey Epstein. And it wasn't only about sex, it was also the money issue. Where was the money coming from?
Yeah, it's the financial links.
Financial issues, different personalities receiving money from a group of billionaire Jews that worked with the Israeli government in the United States.
There it is. So that's the history of the Mossad. That's the history of our intelligence community, blackmailing, tricking people in power, particularly presidents, and controlling them that way. We're probably never going to see those files. We're just going to be moving ahead with Palantir. That's the new Jeffrey Epstein. That's the new Jeffrey Epstein. Whitney Webb recently went on Bad Faith with Brianna Joy Gray, and she talked about this exact topic of Jeffrey Epstein being, and P. Diddy, all the alike. You guys know how it works, the drill. That is kind of a technique, a control technique that is a way of the past, and that Palantir is actually the new Jeffrey Epstein. Let's let her explain. Here we go. Whitney Webb.
But again, to bring it back to a question you asked earlier on about, Israel and blackmail, they don't really need blackmail anymore. And I argue at the end of my book that Palantir, Peter Thiel's company, really makes it so that, that's the new Jeffrey Epstein at the end of the day. If they want to blackmail you or know something about you, they just access what Palantir sucked up about you and your search history, your communications, your finances, tweets you've liked in the past, all sorts of things. You don't really need Epstein. in the surveillance era, you know.
Do you think when they said tweets are private, it was just an inducement to get us all to like what we really want to like so they can hold it against us later?
It's possible if they want to hold it against you later. The disturbing thing about Palantir is that it's really about pre-crime. They were the pioneers of predictive policing. You know, they were originally, well, almost everywhere they've piloted predictive policing have been low-income minority neighborhoods, where they decide who's going to commit a crime before they commit it. And that's essentially what the, you know, we'll see. Administrative detention, maybe, if we go the Israeli path. But Trump actually, in his first term, posited this program to stop mass shootings before they happen.
So, yeah, this is an actual thing that Trump tried years ago, 10 years ago. He tried this, or 8 years ago. He tried this. And she'll explain more on this. But this pre-crime. This is not some sci-fi idea. Obviously, if you can go back and watch Minority Report, 2001, 2002, Spielberg film, telling us, and it's not a prediction, it's educating us on what's coming up in the future. Pre-crime. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. So how do you get the American people on board for pre-crime? Well, Trump initially tried it in his first term, and it's something he probably would have gotten bipartisan support if he didn't make the fatal mistake, and Whitney will explain this in a second, if he didn't make the fatal mistake of making it a government program, because obviously the right will be completely against it in that regard. The left actually might have been on it. They want psychological evaluation of who? Guess none other than potential school shooters. Brilliant. Let's see how that went.
That would basically involve going over American social media posts and identifying if they had early warning signs of neuropsychiatric illness based on their, tweets or Facebook posts. And if they were determined by the algorithm to show those warning signs, they could be, placed under house arrest or go to sessions with a court-ordered psychologist and all sorts of things.
Well, some of my extended relatives better be careful because they got some wild Facebook posts. I had to leave the app.
So do a lot of Americans. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of social media companies like Facebook have a lot of ties to Peter Thiel at the same time he was setting up Palantir. And that Facebook has a lot of similarities to a failed DARPA project called LifeLog that arguably Facebook was resurrected into, because Palantir is the resurrection of another DARPA program called Total Information Awareness that was so scandalous when it was announced. It was defunded by Congress, but then they realized that if they turned it into a private company, no one would complain. And that's how we got Palantir. So
if they turned it into a private company, then no one would complain. And that's how we get Palantir. Genius. Now you got the right on board, like the lower loomers. You got them on board because it's privatized. It means that a company can do whatever they want, even though it's the company itself is controlling the government agencies. So the thing you didn't want, which was government interference, government control, government overreach, the thing you didn't want, because it was instilled in you into your values of being a conservative and a constitutionalist and America first. It was instilled in you. Now you're okay with it because it's business first. It's play the game, the capitalist game. And if Palantir if Alex Karp and Peter Thiel work their asses off, we all get a chance to be billionaires and do whatever we want. Like control government agencies if you get this contract, which Palantir has gotten through the big, beautiful bill. Back to the research. Fiorella, Isabel, the credit where credit's due, $320 billion going into the pockets of Palantir for this type of technology. Pre-crime. Controlling government agencies, putting everybody on a database, and if you fit the psychological profile of somebody who's going to commit a crime who gets to decide what a crime is. A crime is, well, maybe an act of protest against a foreign government like Israel might constitute a crime. If they can determine that you're capable of doing that in the future, they can take care of you now. That's how pre-crime works. That's what Palantir will be able to do. And Whitney Webb's warning is spot on. And she's been warning us about this for years. The technocratic takeover, which he just needed to put Trump in to get the right wing on board. The left was already on board. They love the digital currency, digital ID system. They love their medical records being public knowledge. They love they love all this stuff. They certainly do. They certainly do. One more look at Palantir. We've showed you guys this before, but just to remind you, there he is. That's Alex Karp, the guy, the mouthpiece right now. Whitney mentioned Peter Thiel. He's kind of more behind the scenes, but Alex Karp is the official spokesman, the Dr. Evil, as it will. Mass surveillance under Palantir, the tech company's ties to the U.S. military, ICE, and the IDF. Palantir's reach extends now through the government and across borders, creating an unprecedented apparatus of control. And this is before, by the way, this is before the big, beautiful bill. So they had already been underway. This is how you conducted the ICE raids with this 480 million Project Maven, 30 million. So this is a 1.3 billion is the expansion pre-big, beautiful bill. Now they're at 320 billion. But at 1.3 billion, 30 million of that went to Immigration OS, which is ICE's immigrant tracker, which led to the ICE raids. It's all in motion. It's all going right now. This is what it is. This is Palantir. And there you got Rolling Stone reporting on Stephen Miller's financial stake in the company, helping ICE with deportations. So we know all this. We know all this. And there, WikiLeaks reports to us last year that Alex Karp says, and this is last year, this is way before the election. Alex Karp says the U.S. will very likely fight a three-front war against Russia, China, Iran, and Iran. Love it. Love it. You want to hear it from his own mouth? Why don't we listen to Alex Karp? You might have heard this before, but we got to play it again. This is an oldie but a goodie, but this is Alex Karp telling you what he thinks of his quote-unquote enemies, people who challenge him, people who have critique on him, and him meaning he represents Zionism, the state of U.S. Israel domination and the Greater Israel Project, and military dominance throughout the planet. Anybody challenging this three-front war on China, Russia, and Iran, he will teach them a lesson. Let's hear it.
Need a higher purpose, and I also think you often need a lower purpose. Like the higher purpose for me,
what's a lower purpose?
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us. So that's my lower purpose. And, and others. But the higher purpose for me was to get this nation to be the preeminent power in the world, because whatever faults we have, they're nothing like anyone else's.
Whatever faults we have, well, they're nothing like anyone else's. So that's how you justify horrible shit to stop what you call worse horrible shit. So that's how you do it. That's how you justify it. Whatever we're doing is not as bad as them. So, and them, who is them? They can be anyone. They can be us for challenging, us for critiquing. So journalists are definitely on his list. Real journalists, not propagandists, but journalists are on the list of Alex Karp, where that $320 billion is going, is to fight us. Wow. I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. And that's in process right now, guys. So we're going to keep an eye on this story on Palantir, but Whitney Webb drawing that correlation between Epstein and Palantir. Now they don't need Epstein anymore. They don't need to have this empire built, sex trafficking island. They don't need P. Diddy white parties. That's a thing of the past. Palantir can do all of it on its own. It can create the paper trail it needs. It can create the blackmail. It doesn't need to walk you through these motions of tricking you into, whether it's through drugs or through any sort of ritualistic shit, tricking you into doing stuff they can use against you later. They can just do it with AI, do it with technology. And we've seen in some cases, if they can't find anything on you, they can certainly just make something up. It's very easy to do. It's cutting out the middleman. You don't need another island. You don't need another P. Diddy white party situation. Palantir will do it. Palantir will do it. And this was inevitable, guys. As you saw in the timeline, it was already in the works before Trump got into office the second term. This has been a trial and error situation from the beginning, and enough trial and errors. They finally got it right. And here we are. Welcome to the new age of technocracy. Thank you, Whitney Webb, for being on this. We'll keep trying to report on this until they take our channels down and punish us. As Alex Karp says, his lower purpose is to inflict pain on us and teach us a lesson, make an example out of us. So until that day, we'll keep doing what we're doing. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart would cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.